Ride through the city like Brennan Schaub. I'm on a mission to get it all. Ride through the city like Brennan Schaub. If you ain't thick, please don't get involved.
And now, Brandon Thick Boy Schaub.
What's up, Thickies? It is Monday morning. Earlier start here at Thick Boy Studios. Kicking off with barely finished my coffee and I come straight to the studio. We got 3 shows today, back to back to back. We got this, we got Finding the Kid, and then we have a Food Truck Diary with a very special guest. So we in it, baby. We are in it. So you get that morning puff from your boy right now. Morning puff in the face. I look like a Shar-Pei right now in the morning. So it is what it is, man. We had some good fights over the weekend. Shout out to Ontario Improv, the Inland Empire, doing the damn thing. It's not close out there. In Inland Empire, Ontario, you look at it, it's like 60 miles. That is not close. It is pretty far. You didn't go out there, right, Jid? No, you didn't go out there. Stevie, Blue Eyes came out.
Oh, nice. Did he bring Cat or no?
What? No, just Cat was out of town, so he's able to do his thing. But, man, it's tough out there, man. Just to get out there. Like, it doesn't look far, and then there's not even accidents. It's just like, I mean, you look at 2.5, 3 hours, no matter what.
That's crazy.
Every time. No matter what. We stayed at Airbnb because it was such a beast, and there's just donkeys everywhere. We just had donkeys.
So you actually stayed there the whole weekend?
Well, we did, and then Saturday I drove down because Tiger had his first soccer game. But I was like, oh, it won't be bad. It's Saturday morning. I'll leave at 8 a.m. Wrong, son. 2 hours. It is what it is out there.
Is there anything to do
out there?
Yeah.
We hung out this cool mall.
Okay. That should have a big mall
pizza
there.
kitchen. It's crazy out there, man. That Inland Empire, but great crowds, man.
Awesome.
Great crowds. There's a huge NASCAR out there. Like there's a giant NASCAR track out there.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Shout out to Inland Empire. But yeah, man, you had some fights over the weekends. Not the most exciting all out gangbuster fights. In the main event for the UFC Fight Night, you had my boy Corey the Sandman Sandhagen versus Song Yadong. And then you also had probably the biggest fight over the weekend was Triple G Canelo. None of them are going to be fight of the year. If you want to kick off Canelo Triple G, to me, when a guys fight in a trilogy fight, they've had, before going into this fight, they've had 24 rounds together. So I figured this was going to be the one. This is going to be a classic. There's not going to be a feeling out process. They're going to kind of let, just let their hands go because they know each other, But that was not the case. It was Triple G just didn't take any chances really to the 9th, 10th round. He finally started getting going, but then it was way too late, man. Way too late. Not the most exciting fight. Canelo definitely, Father Time's on his side, had a huge speed advantage. Again, I don't know what boxing, we know this is very corrupt. And usually Canelo, being as big as a name as he is, and remember in the first fight, a lot of people think Triple G won that fight, and I think it was a draw, and that probably should have went to Triple G, but usually when you're that big of a name, you have the judges in your pocket, but apparently not Saturday night because they gave Triple G like the 115 to 113. Come on, what are we watching? You know what I'm saying? Or the 116, 112 is insane. 115, 113 even is a little dicey, man. But I mean, I'm with Kevin Iole. I love Kevin Iole. So he says Alvarez 10-9 in the 12th and wins by shutout, 120, 108. They embraced in the center ring, sweeped each other. So Kevin Iole had him winning. He basically, wins by shutout, 120 to 108. I would give Triple G maybe 2 rounds if I'm being cool, and I like Triple G. But Triple G's a goddamn legend. Triple G is a G, no pun intended. Because you look at the people he's lost to, just Canelo, and one of them he didn't, Legend, dude. But Father Time really caught up with him. The speed, the technique of Canelo kind of won that thing. A lot of people, not in my household, my girls from Guadalajara, they freaking would drink Canelo's bathwater if they could and make a freaking, corchada with it. But in the green room, everyone was going for Triple G. I think because he's older, you don't want to see a guy go out like that. But I was like, what? Even my photographer, Caesar, he's great. He's from Mexico. He was going for Triple G. I was like, you out of your mind, dude? You're a communist? Can't be from Mexico and root against Canelo. You out of your fucking mind? But he's like, I don't know. It's a Triple G's older, it'd be cool. He kind of get fucked over. I'm like, I get it for it, but for boxing, like Triple G, he's on the 18th hole of his career. Like Canelo's probably, Canelo's not young in the tooth, but for boxing, you definitely need Canelo to win that thing for the momentum to keep going. And then also Canelo, he wants to go back up and fight homeboy who he lost to, which I think it just shows you the heart of Canelo. He's like the last true Mexican boxer who will fight anybody, just goes forward. He's a savage. He's the last of that kind, man. So hopefully there's some young buck coming up that wants to do that from Mexico, but Canelo's an actual Mexican dude. He's a savage. But for Triple G, I don't know. See, I will beat him. Talking about that Bivol, it's a nightmare matchup for him. But if he beats him, hats off to him, But again, the fight, and also even usually I'm like, I want to make sure the fighters get paid, stuff like that. So when you see the UFC pay-per-view, I'm never like, no way, man, this is too, I'll never like grunt about it. I'm like, this is too much, because I know it's going in somewhat of the fighters' pockets. By some, I mean like 0.5%, but still, at least they're getting paid. With boxing, when you look at that thing, said I think $86.99, like, God, dog, that's kind of like the 86 number, 99. You're like, holy shit, boxing. And it just shows you, like, even the fight night compared to this huge, boxing card, like the UFC just puts on such a better show. Like from the production value, obviously it's DAZN, who's a bit of a nightmare, but just the layoff between the co-main event and the main event, you're like waiting around, and there's like an hour before they even walk out. You're like, what the hell? Who has this time, dude? Let's get going here, man. What the hell are we doing? And it's funny, too, because a lot of people are like, I think even you mentioned it on Monday, Chin, you're like, Canelo Triple G fights this weekend? I think for like, if you're not like balls deep in boxing, it was a little surprising because, again, it's DAZN. They're not the best at marketing. They just don't have that, like, marketing machine like the UFC or Showtime does. But for Mexicans, I mean, they started this thing on their calendar because he fights twice a year, this Cinco de Mayo, and he fights on the Independence Day. That's really what he does. So they knew what was going on. Listen, Inland Empire knew what the hell a lot of Latins out there. Because everyone's like, oh, the marketing. It's not like they, put this out much. It seems like this one's kind of quiet. I'm like, it's not though, dude. It's definitely not. It's a fucking national holiday in Mexico when he fights, and he fights the same time of year. My girl was in freaking Vegas for this. And the singer, I don't know his name. My Mexican fans are going to kill me. The singer whose dad, who's like the most famous Mexican singer of all time, his son is the one that sang when Canelo's walking out. So my girl's at his concert. His concert was the same time as Canelo's fight, like the main event. This dude ran from his arena over to that arena, walked out with Canelo singing. My girl's concert's packed, waiting for this dude to come out with his chops, right? He has these long chops. So he sings, does his thing, runs back, doesn't start the concert till after the fight, was in the green room watching the fight. Hey, dude, get going here, man. So everyone in my girl's, it's a huge arena. Everyone's on their phones watching Canelo fight. He's back there watching Canelo fight. It's like, could you space them out a little bit? Maybe do it on a Friday night, dude. What are we doing here, man? But that, I thought it was fun. We had this comic with us who, he doesn't know fighting. He's like, so are they going to fight a fourth time? I'm like, absolutely not, sir. Fighting doesn't work like that. I mean, three, and then there's it's very rare there's a fourth fight. The rubber, like when you do the trilogy stuff, it's it, dude. Nobody's trying to see this a fourth, fifth time. It's very rare. So yeah, no, this is over, dude. Canelo won, 2 out of 3, one was a draw, But a lot of people think, the fans probably think Triple G won that draw. So, still 2-1 Canelo, this thing's over. But both legends, man. The next big thing in boxing is going to be Crawford and Spence. Yeah, that'll be the big one. And then little rumors coming out of the UK. Not only did the Queen die, which is obviously the big deal over there, but the next big news besides the Queen dying is Joshua versus Tyson Fury's son. And I don't give a shit that Anthony Joshua's lost 2 fights to Usyk. Joshua Fury, I have to see before I pass away. That is going to be the biggest fight in the UK history, man. It's going to be massive. Now, it would be internationally, I would say, probably biggest fight of all time if Joshua was also undefeated. He could lose to homeboy Andy Ruiz and come back. And if he was on a winning streak now, if he would have beat Usyk, this fight would be so fucking big. But, it hasn't gone that way. It's going to be a tough fight for Joshua. But, man, what a chance for Joshua to completely redeem himself, man. He's been on the outs right now. He beats Fury. I don't think he will, but if he does, what? Here we go. Let's take a little break from me chatting your ear off about the fight game. Boston next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Boston, Laugh Boston. I am coming, Boston. Let's do this. Listen, it is the fall season, kids. Welcome to Fresh Ball Fall. It's the season of pumpkin spice. Everybody loves them little lattes, especially them hoes, and making sure your crotch looks nice. That means sipping cider in a fall breeze and using Manscaped products to trim your balls with ease. That's right. Today's show, The Schaub Show, is brought to you by Manscaped, a company here to make sure that your foliage isn't the only thing shedding its excess leaves. Heck, even Mother Nature knows it's time to lose the excess clutter for the fall. So what are you doing? Fellas, you got bros, you got them bushes out there? What you doing, man? Nobody wants that. It's not the 60s anymore. This ain't some old 70s porno. Join the 6 million bros worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code SCHAUB20, SCHAUB 20. Whether you're brand new or already with the boys at Manscaped, you could use the crown jewel of care for your family jewels. I'm talking about the Platinum Package 4.0. That's right, man. You get this package. You cover your freaking hygiene all in one swoop, baby. Inside this 10-part platinum package, you get the Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer, weed whack, nose, ear, hair trimmer. All right. You get the skin-safe technology to protect those delicate parts, all right, and all those holes surrounding it. Both are waterproof so you can keep scaping even as the weather's changing. Do it in the rain. Shave your nuts in the rain, dude. Get weird with it. In addition to shaving, can now completely upgrade your shower routine with the ultimate premium body wash and ultra premium 2-in-1 shampoo conditioner. You have your skin and hair feeling hydrated and smelling like a freaking dandelion. Don't forget to apply their aluminum-free ultra premium deodorant, all right? And also, they got the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant. All right, it's the Crop Reviver Ball Toner to make sure you get to smell so nice. All right, Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts into this platinum package. The Manscaped Boxers and Shed Travel Bag. All right, so it can hold all your goodies. Get the platinum package this fall. These products are guaranteed to be hits for your dangly bits. Go to manscaped.com, get 20% off and free shipping with code SCHAUB20. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com when you use the code SCHAUB20, SCHAUB20. Manscaped, clear out the leaves. It's your tree trunk's time to shine. Let's get back to the program. Psych, not back to the program because I want you guys to watch football, NFL football. The action is hot. My Broncos got the win, but they're not looking great. My Rams aren't looking that great either. The Chargers lost to the Chiefs. Your boy's losing money. Don't be like me. Make smarter bets. Quit being so biased, all right? But do it with my friends at DraftKings, one of the official sports betting partners of the NFL. We're talking touchdowns, big plays, even bigger wins. New customers can bet just $5 on any NFL team to win and get $200 in free bets if you do. If that's not enough for you, cool, man. Everyone can boost their winnings with the DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. That's why my degenerate producer, Nick, was able to do a 6-man parlay with DraftKings for the fight night this past Saturday. He bet 35, won $2,000 roos. Yeah. Right now, for every leg you add, you can boost your winnings up to 100% with payouts bigger than ever. Why bet on football anywhere else, man? What are you doing? It's only DraftKings. If you ain't using DraftKings, you ain't shit. To make things even sweeter, you can throw down on stepped up same game parlays once per game. day all season long. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use promo code SCHAUB. That's SCHAUB show to get $200 in free bets. If your team wins when you place a $5 bet on any football game, that's code SCHAUB only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Minimum age eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. See next page for directions for disclaimer. Download DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code SCHAUB. And then if you go to the UFC fight night, again, nothing to blow your hair back. God, our boy Nick did some crazy, like 5-fight parlay, sent it to me. Dude, he bet, I think, $600 and won like $6,000.
You're kidding.
Yeah. Now, he's a degenerate gambler, so he probably lost $6,000 by the end of the card on fighting or, on NFL, but still. Yeah. He's like, yeah, baby. It's like all it's just random, like, parlays, man.
He does his homework, though. He really does.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that dude, he knows his shit. Like, let me look at what he sent me. I don't know anybody who would do this, but so he put, he goes, fuck yes. So it's a parlay. First of all, not only is it a parlay, but it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fight parlay. 34, so I was a little off. $34 to win $2,154. He bet $34 on the 6-fight parlay. 6-fight parlay is fucking unheard of. It's tough enough to do a 3-man parlay. So he took Daniel Zellhuber over Trey Ogden over 2.5 rounds. He took Denise Gomes over 2.5 rounds. Trevin Giles over 1.5 rounds. Damon Jackson under 2.5. Aaron Hernandez wins inside the distance. And then Tanner Bozer minus 170. I mean, you got to be a complete degenerate. You ever heard of half these guys I just mentioned? And this dude just throwing change at it. 34. Dude, you got a gambling problem when you're betting $34 to win $2,000. You know what I'm saying? You got problems, son. You got fucking problems, Nick, but you pulled it off, dude. Nick's rich. Nick be throwing some crazy bets. He's such a degenerate gambler. He'll be like, man, can you believe I got robbed on that Cameron Van Camp Nicholas Moata fight? I'm like, who? He's like, dude, come on, dude. It's the first prelim on the UFC fight night in Vegas. I'm like, oh no, I didn't bet. I didn't see the lines on that one. I didn't know they have lines for everybody. But yeah, overall, there's some good finishes, but overall, you gotta take your hat off to my boy Corey Sandhagen, Aurora's finest baby. He looked like a goddamn savage. And I loved his demeanor as they were introducing the fighters. Song Yadong is a little more laid back. That's more his style, right? He trains with Team Alpha Male. But Corey Sandhagen was just lasered focused. And remember, he's coming off a 2-fight losing streak. And now he did lose to the upper echelon. You're talking about Peter Yan. He lost TJ Dillashaw. So he lost to the very, very best we have to offer. But still, for a guy like him to be on a 2-fight losing streak, he hasn't won since October of 2021. For him, man, he hasn't won since February of 2021. His last fight was October 30th, 2021. So he hasn't had a win inside that octagon since February of 2021 when he beat Frank Yeager and got performance of the night over that Overeem Volkov card. Yeah. So then he goes on to, TJ Dillashaw lose split decision. Jen thinks he won that fight. I definitely don't. And I absolutely love both those guys. I don't. Then loses Peter Yan, right, for the interim championship. So that next fight, they didn't do him any favors getting him Song Yadong. Song Yadong is also on ESPN and most hardcore's list. I think they have him as the number 1 fighter for 25 years and under. So he's a young savage, man. So I wasn't crazy about this fight for Corey Sandhagen. Now, I don't think Song Yadong loses any momentum because he's never fought a top 10 guy. Sure as fuck, he's never fought a top 5 guy. Going into that 5th round, I had it pretty even, and the judges' scorecards came out. They also had it pretty even going to that fight too. So, it shows you that Song Yadong is the real deal, man. I always say this when guys are savages and they lose a fight like this, I feel sorry for who he has to fight next because he's right up there, man. He's a top 7 talent, man. He's right there, and he's 24 years old, man. Punches like a goddamn savage, dude. So for Corey Sandhagen, it was so important to get a win here and get his name and also stay, at the top there, stay in the top 4 there. I think they have him as 3. Is that right, Chin? So have him as ranked number 3. So he's 4. They put Merab over him. Merab, and he called out Merab after the fight, which just shows you the confidence and what a sociopath Corey Sandhagen is. Because name one other fighter who called out Merab ever. He's the boogeyman. He's just this wrestler. He obviously just beat Jose Aldo. I could see them doing the Corey Sandhagen Merab fight. It's tough because the fighters that I'm closest to in that division are TJ Dillashaw, Corey Sandhagen, and Marlon Moraes. I'm close with all of them. Corey I've known since he was a kid, same gym, same hometown. I love that kid. TJ Dillashaw, very close friend, and then Cheeto, very close friend, right? So I would prefer, because I'm biased, Corey fights Merab, and that's the fight that he asked for, and they got to figure out what they're going to do with Merab. But there's the division right now, it's so stacked. It's so fun to be a UFC fan right now with the divisions this just dense with talent and superstars. So especially for this division, I think what would be the most exciting fight would be Cheeto versus Corey Sandhagen. That's a great fucking fight, dude. That's a phenomenal fight. But for Cheeto, he's coming off big win, dude. You freaking kick Dominic Cruz in the face like that, knockout, So he's had some big wins. So part of me wants Marlon Cheeto to get, the next title shot. But it's all predicated on the, Peter Yan, Sugar, Aljamain, TJ. Then you got Merab there. Merab, phenomenal fighter, savage, but also predominantly wrestling. So he's not the most exciting guy. But if you want straight excitement, Cheeto, Corey Sandhagen, that should be co-main event on a pay-per-view. You could do it as a main event on fight night. It does need to be 5 rounds. So if that means it's a fight night, it does need to be 5 rounds. I don't want that thing to be 3. I need 5. Because my boy Cheeto's a little bit of a slow starter. Corey comes out like a fucking banshee sometimes. So I need 5 rounds out of that. And then Jose Aldo, I'm sure you have it in the current events, Chin, retired. So the number 6 guy in the world's pulling out. And shout out to Jose Aldo, the king of the fucking, you know what I'm saying? The king, dude, of that division. The king, man. One of the absolute best. What's interesting about when you look at Jose Aldo's career, and he had this late surge, and I think retiring is probably the best move because for him to get back to he's a guy who fights for championships. And, he had a rough patch from 2019, 2020, lost 3 in a row, right? He lost to Volkanovski, nothing to hang your head about, Marlon Moraes, and then Peter Yan. So then he goes on this 3-fight win streak. He beats Cheeto, Pedro Munoz, Rob Font. And you're like, oh shit. And his team really fucked up taking that Merab fight. He could have waited. And this was his last go, man. This was the finale. And then you toss him in there with this Merab character who's just a nightmare of a matchup for him, where he could have waited, probably got a title shot. They would have sent him off the right way. I would much prefer Jose Aldo to fight for the title and then retire. But now it's kind of sad. Like, he lost to Merab. Takedown wasn't that exciting of a fight. Merab just did his thing. All right. So, I don't know what he's going to do. So it says Aldo's team negotiated a release from his UFC contract with 1 bout remaining. Interesting. Meaning that he is free to pursue and discuss the move to boxing or other combat sport opportunities. Yeah, I know obviously the trendy thing to do is to go over to boxing, get these big super fights, but who the fuck at that weight class is going to fight Jose Aldo? No YouTubers sign up to fight fucking Jose Aldo, There's not really any big names, not a big crossover for him to pursue boxing. Dude, you want to talk about a guy, he's fucking in Brazil, and I've been around him in Rio. He's Tom fucking Cruise. Yeah. In Brazil, they do have their superstars and their Hollywood superstars and their hip hop artists and shit like that and singers. But the fighters they're Michael Jordan in Chicago. Big Nog, Little Nog, Shogun, Vanderlei. Those guys, man, Glover, who's the champ, Jose Aldo, dude, they are fucking superstars, man. They're the way the fighters here should be treated, you know? The way Conor was treated in his absolute prime in like Europe, that's the way even guys who, you know, were on losing skids like that, and like even Bigfoot Silva, superstar. Even though he's lost, I don't know, 70 fights in a row, whatever the fuck he's on. But they're treated the way they should be treated out there. It's fantastic. But shout out to Jose Allen. He's a smart guy too. He has his restaurants. I know he has a burger chain. Like he's a big deal, man. So shout out to him, one of the greatest to ever fucking do it. Again, he's a guy, WC legend, right? UFC legend. And then really he flew under the radar. He didn't get the recognition he deserved till he had an adversary in Conor McGregor. And then once him and Conor started going at it, that just built also the legend of Conor, but also built up the profile of Jose Aldo because you had the Batman and Joker thing. That's what people love, you know? With John Jones, you had the DC John Jones. You had Batman, Joker, good guy, bad guy. The fans love that stuff. They love that hostility. And unfortunately, even though he got starched in that fight, and I wish they would have done a rematch, but for a million reasons, we would never see that again. Conor, you know, put on a lot of weight. Him fighting at 45 is never happening again. So, you know, it's just for Jose Aldo, for him to go out the way he did in the Merab fight, it's kind of a bummer, but still, at least he went out, you know, winning 3 out of his last 4, you know, 3 out of his last 4, baby. So shout out to one of the greatest to ever do it, if not the greatest to ever do in that division. But for Corey Sandhagen, I know he called out Merab, just shows you what a savage he is. And a lot of people are like, man, I didn't realize Corey could switch that much with his footwork and, you know, his game plan with the takedowns. And he alluded to it in the post-fight press conference where he goes, we just wanted to wear him out. So they didn't care about the success of the takedown. All they want to do is have Song Yadong real hesitant to throw because he's a really good boxer and punches like a fucking savage. So all they want to do is slow him down a beat so Corey Sandhagen can get off some other stuff. So you can't just let Song Yadong fire off. He's too powerful. So it was brilliant strategic game plan there. And, you know, him and the way he's moving, people are like, oh, it's very TJ Dillashaw, it's very Dominic Cruz. You guys are missing one thing there. Now, this guy's not as famous as Dominic Cruz, who's obviously the originator of that, and even his style's a little different. But the originator of a lot of this stuff is a guy named Christian Allen, who's my first coach ever. Christian Allen, we call him the Ninja, and he's the mastermind behind Corey Sandhagen. And Corey Sandhagen has been with Christian Allen since he was 16 years old. And Christian Allen, who is the most talented guy you've ever seen in the gym. He's black belt in jiu-jitsu, black belt in fucking taekwondo. Name a martial art, he's a black belt. And when he was on the show, I don't know if he appeared on camera, but we've had Corey in here, I think, 2 or 3 times. But Christian Allen was a guy who, there he is. So he came up with me and with Shane and Trevor and Dwayne Ludwig, and he's just a savant when it comes to fighting. And when he was fighting, it was just almost like the lights were too bright. He was more of a practice guy, but when in the training room, he was such a fucking savage. And if you could just get that, you know, if you could just kind of get his talent and make it count inside the UFC, you have a world champion, and that's Corey Sandhagen. Corey will be your champion. Even though he's 30, he's a young 30, man. He's a young 30. He's a fucking savage. So, you know, Christian Allen has downloaded and poured every inch of his talent and his brilliant mind into Corey Sandhagen. And that's why Corey's such a fucking savage. So a lot of people will credit Dominic Cruz or TJ Dillashaw or, you know, some of these other guys that move like Dominic Cruz. But that movement has been created through Christian Allen. Dominic Cruz is just the most famous guy to do it. And it's not a Dominic Cruz style movement, but it looks like that to the untrained eye. It's a Christian Allen movement. That's what Corey Sandhagen's doing. And, you know, he's a savage. He looked phenomenal. And that game plan was great. Now, that being said, you know, that was an even fight, man. I had it 2-2 going into that 5th round. And even Corey goes, man, he deserved a 5th round, you know. But that cut was bad, man. It was bad because, and Song Yadong let you know that doctor made the right decision. I thought they could have stopped it earlier. But they made the right decision because Song Yadong alluded to Corey Sandhagen while they're still knocked on. He goes, I couldn't see out of my eye. The blood was going to my eye. I couldn't see anything, dude. So like, oh yeah, they should that's exactly why you'd stop the fight. And also the blood, obviously the blood run of the eye is a concern, but that cut was so bad, it crossed, multiple different regions of the muscle across the face, that's the problem.
Yeah.
And that's Corey's elbows, man. That up elbow, he's a savage of that cut's bad, man. So it's not that, the placement of the cut's not ideal, and obviously the blood was running the eye, but it crosses multiple muscles where you can get lifelong damage, droopy eye. Like they stopped that fight for a reason. That they could have stopped it a round earlier. It's a shame, but just glad Corey won, to be honest.
Yeah,
glad he won. Fight of the night. I agree with that. Gregory Rodriguez and Naju Connie, savage. Andre Fili, who I always cheer for, got a win as well. He looked phenomenal. Now that's interesting. How the fuck did Nick win his bet if Tanner Boser lost?
I think it's the over-under thingy. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
the rounds,
you're right.
yeah.
You're right. All right. Let's take another little break. Boston, I will see you next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Those shows are almost sold out. We might add shows. Get your tickets, thickboy.com. I'll tell you what, man, you'll see me on my Instagram stories. I'm always bike riding. I'm always hiking. I'm doing something, and I got to be listening to something. I just don't want to be there with my thoughts because I'm weird, all right? I need something in my ear. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm listening to music. And a lot of y'all make fun of me because I have to use the wires. I don't use the in-bud things. I always have wires. And you're like, oh, I thought you made money. Why are you using wires still? That's so freaking 2014. Look at my ears. I have a tortellini on my left side of my ear because I used to fight, man. I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and part of the black belt is you get your ears all messed up, and then part of the problem nobody tells you is you can't wear wireless earbuds because they don't fit. And then my friends at Raycon Wireless came along, and they know exactly how to do it, man. Raycon is the best wireless earbud I've ever used. I use it bike riding. I use it in the green room. I use it nonstop. Raycon's everyday earbuds look, feel, and sound better than ever. And this is where it helps me out. They're the optimized gel tips for the perfect in-ear fit. They ain't lying, man. They're comfortable. They will not budge. Trust me. I'm on my bike like this. All right? Raycons give you 8 hours of playtime, a 32-hour battery life. Raycons also, they're not going to charge you at the bank. It's not a mortgage payment. You get them at half the price of other premium audio brands. It's no wonder Raycon's everyday earbuds have over 50,000 five-star reviews. We got you, man. Go to buyraycon.com/Schaub today to get 15% off your Raycon order. That's buyraycon.com/Schaub, SCHAB, and you get 15% off. Buyraycon.com/Schaub. One more read, kids, and we're going right back to the program because when you see me, right, and you're like, man, his vocabulary's gotten a lot better. What's he doing? He's working on himself. He's reading a lot. I'm not. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I'm on that alpha brain. Matter of fact, I'm on it as I stare at this camera right now. Every time you see me podcasting, stand up, just life in general, I'm working out, whatever I'm doing, I'm using the alpha brain. All right. You know those times when you all you can do is focus on the project at hand, the times when you're most focused, right? They call that being in the zone or flow state. Well, what if I told you take 2 little pills? I'm talking about that alpha brain from Onnit. It's the ultimate way to get in the to get in the zone. A world-renowned nootropic supplement with over 1 million bottles sold. Alpha Brain promotes cognitive functions, including memory, mental speed, and focus. I need all the help I can get, kids. I got a splash of CT, but thanks to Alpha Brain, I'm out here shooting off sentences like freaking Elon Musk. That's right, man. It's Alpha Brain. It can help you remember names. Who remembers names? I'm basically going to family reunion because my grandma died. I couldn't tell you one name of my cousins, all right? But I'm going to be all hopped up on Alpha Brain. I'm going to read over the list. I'm going to remember all their names, not hurt anybody's feelings. Thanks, Alpha Brain. Thanks, Onnit. All right? It helps me think more clearly under stress. And listen, my boy Joe Rogan says that he feels that it helps him form better sentences when he's talking. Do you think Joe Rogan knows a thing or two about talking? You want to be more like Joe Rogan, less like me? Cool, get Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain contains amino acids, plant compounds that promote the brain's release of alpha waves, which helps you with your creativity, helps you with productivity. It gets you in that flow state, baby. All right. And also, if you're like a little, crazy about caffeine, this is caffeine free. You don't need energy drinks. You don't need coffee. You need Alpha Brain. All right. And if you don't like it, here's what's dope. On it and myself, we're so confident in Alpha Brain, you get your money back. Try it out. You don't like it? Say less. You get your money back, but you're going to love it. All right? You're going to love it. You can save 10% off your order by going to onnit.com/Schaub. All right? That's onnit.com/SCHAUB. You get 10% off, or you can go to your local Walmart and pick it up today. So you can either just go online, help your boy out, go to onnit.com/Schaub, or you can put on your freaking Dockers and your Crocs and a button-up polo and go to Walmart and see the meetings at Walmart. What are you going to do? You're going to onnit.com/Schaub, 10% off. It gets delivered to your door. Avoid all the riff-raff. You feel me? Go to onnit.com/Schaub, 10% off Alpha Brain. You're welcome. What else you got, Chid?
You just mentioned Andre Fili, so he called out one of the judges.
Clearly won that fight. It was competitive, but these judges are, I don't fucking know what these judges are looking at, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, I thank God they didn't rob me, but dude, they gotta stop trying to scare me.
Well, one judge 1 and 2. You took round 1 on all the cards. He took round 2 on all the cards, and the split was because one judge gave him round 3. I guess presumably because of those punches.
I'm just like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's get down to it. What is closer? What is a more significant threat to finishing a fight?
A rear naked choke.
My hand under his throat, ready to strangle him, or him punching me in the top of my forehead from 2 inches away. It's like, what? And if a judge legitimately looks at that and says that he was closer to winning the fight than me in that third round, fuck that guy. Yeah, like, I don't know what to say. Like, I wish I had a more eloquent thing to say, but you don't. If you think that punches from here is a more legitimate fight-ending threat than a rear naked choke from the back,
you don't know what you're doing.
You shouldn't be judging.
Yeah, I agree with him 100%. Yeah. The problem is that there's no repercussions for these judges. Like, it's just like, oh, my bad. Like, no, man. There should be a panel where, and they're not going to beat them up, or, you know, when I say beat them up verbally, they're not going to destroy them. But all 3 judges, I think, in MMA, boxing, different animal. It's old as fucking dinosaurs. You know, boxing is mummy judging, and it's so corrupt. That's never gonna happen. But the UFC, how dope would it be if after the big fights and there's controversy with the judging, you're allowed, they put like 4 to 5 media members who the UFC can choose, which they do anyway. They choose, and they ask questions like, why did you do this? Well, explain this. And then you go, and to his point, well, you're judging based off the punch at the top of the head, but the rear naked choke, you don't see that being more detrimental to finishing the fight, more important, so you'd give the other guy a round? And then they explain themselves. Because what if this Judge Chris Lee, and I'm being super, super friendly here, what if he gave you some sort of explanation that made sense? And you're like, oh, okay, I can see that. He sure as fuck, he can't. But if he did, I think it would go a long way with the fans and the fighters, you know?
Yeah.
But they never have. They're just like, nope, I had that guy winning. Like, how the fuck did you come up with that? And we just let it slide. Let it slide. They could cost Andre Fili, a huge opportunity, man. Yeah. These guys get half their pays when these shitty judges just shoot from the hip and don't know what they're watching. The UFC just goes, oh, that's judging. Don't leave it to the hands of the scorecard. You're like, what? The guy, I'm in the toughest, biggest league in the world, and I can't depend on judges? Nope, sorry, don't leave in the hands of the judges. Like, trust me, I'm trying to fucking finish him. It just so happens these guys are pretty fucking good on fighting, man. It's to me, it's the biggest blind spot the UFC has not to do something about it, because they have the power to. They're putting out other fires, I guess.
It is weird how there's no consequences for the judges.
Nothing.
Sucks, yeah.
Ever.
All right. On that same card, Aspen Ladd, she missed weight again, so she couldn't have her fight with Sarah McMahon. This is her 4th time overall, but 3rd time in the UFC. And you said the one thing that UFC hates the most is missing weight.
Unless you're Hamzat and there's a conspiracy with it.
Unless that case, yeah.
Unless they're in on it, then you're fine.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Yeah, they're probably gonna cut her. Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah. You keep missing weight, they it's frowned upon usually. Unless you're Hamzat, and that just adds to my theory, right? It just adds to it. And Dana came out in the thing and said, anyone who thinks Hamza had a bad week is out of their mind. He had a great week. And this is a guy that I want you guys to go back and look and see if a fighter has missed weight and Dana has given any of them praise ever in the history of a fighter missing weight. Explain that. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
That's all you're saying.
That's like JFK getting shot, and then the CIA being like, I mean, it happens all the time, man. It's not a big deal. You're like, no, it's never happened. What do you mean? That's insane. You're like, oh, you're in on it. Okay, that makes sense. You know, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Again, we don't have to keep going over it. I'm not even dying on this hill. I'm not dying on this hill. That was a conspiracy. It's fun to talk about, and I could definitely see it being some sort of conspiracy. I definitely think there's something to it. And I think the other problem I have where I get caught up on just doubling down on my conspiracy is if you go back over time, when he talked about the commission, they would never let a guy over 10 pounds fight. Anybody knows the commission? Well, you've done it before. You've done it before, and there's no problem. The commission, it's happened before. What are you talking about? So if there weren't these hiccups that he has to explain why it wasn't a conspiracy, the problem is that there's multiple lies. And again, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Nate won, rode off into the sunset. Thank God, that's what I wanted. Hamzat's all good. His star's never been bigger. He's now the Dark Knight of the Joker of the UFC. All good. Everyone's all good. Everyone got compensated. All good. I don't give a shit. Just don't call me a fucking dummy. Don't call Pat Milchick a fucking dummy. We're good, dude. I still don't hate the guy at all, any facet. You give me content to talk about. Bring it on. I don't give a fuck.
Alrighty. Speaking of rich people, here's the paydays for Canelo and Triple G. Yeah.
My God, baby.
Yeah, so Canelo 45
million. Gennady 20 million. 65 million payouts. Yeah, that's boxing. That makes sense. Now, the problem here is, so people are going to see this, right? And I'm sure in the comments, we don't have to look at comments, but I'm sure in the comments, people are like, oh, and and look at the UFC pay. I get it, and I'm not defending the UFC pay. They could definitely pay guys more. I could get into that if I wanted to, but I won't for a variety of reasons. But with Canelo and Triple G, look at the undercard. It's trash. It's garbage. Nobody's making any money. Those two are the only, and when I say only, the only reason anybody bought this pay-per-view. The undercards, maybe their family. So let's say you have a big family. Let's say there's 10 of you. 10 people bought the pay-per-views, and they're just friends and family for those other guys. Nobody was buying the pay-per-view for the undercard. Yeah. That's the difference with the UFC. You look at the UFC, there's multiple people that are selling that thing. That's why the UFC is a better product. Better fights, better entertainment value, better matchups, better production. It costs more to produce it, So with Triple G, he also has this built-in audience, so it makes sense that he got paid that money. People always want to compare boxing and MMA. It's tough, man. It's very, very tough. Those guys deserve that money.
Yeah, so much money.
God, that's a lot of money. You know what I'd do with 45 million, son?
All right. This was pretty big over the weekend as well. Gordon Ryan, he submitted Andre Galvao at ADCC.
What a savage. Rear naked choke. Yeah, ADC was going on at the same time. Is that the video there? Let me see. Yeah,
it's, wait, let's see. They're both like crazy jacked too.
Hell yeah. Just such a freak, dude. I mean, he is just a human python. You know how hard it is to submit that, dude? You know how insane that is? America. That doesn't make you proud to be American. You ain't shit. Gordon Ryan, goddamn legend, dude.
Yeah.
Legend. What a savage. Oh, my God. Look at that body.
I know they're both
and that beard.
bodied up.
What's his respect, everyone? Fear no one. Say less, dude. Them abs? God, dog.
All right. Let's go.
Luke Rockhold's off on that. Jiu-Jitsu has become a competition of who has the best steroids. It's actually sad. I disagree. But that's professional sports in a nutshell. And also, if Gordon Ryan's on shit and Galval's on shit, well, then it comes down to technique.
Exactly. All right.
God, he looks handsome bastard, too.
He's so jacked.
How's he not a model?
So not Dana White. Daniel Cormier recently talked about Tony Ferguson, saying that he's just a shell of himself and he should retire. So Tony Ferguson came back with this.
Yeah, I don't like that. And if you go to Chael's channel, he had a great analogy on this. He talks about when Rogan and Callan had that intervention with me to retire. And he said, and me and Chael, he alludes to this. Me and Chael are very close. We talk all the time. I just talked to him 3 times this past week, right? Mm-hmm. I love Chael. We're training partners. I absolutely love Chael Sonnen. He talks about when it comes to a lot of this stuff and guys retiring and stuff like that. And, when DC makes a statement, it carries a lot of weight. You're talking about a guy who, Olympic wrestler, Strikeforce world champion, UFC world champion in light heavyweight, world champion heavyweight. Mm-hmm. You're talking about royalty in the UFC. So when he speaks, we should all listen. The only thing with this is it's tough because I don't allude to Daniel Cormier's conclusion that Tony Ferguson's done. He's a shell of himself. I look at it that 170 is just not the right weight class for Tony Ferguson. I'm not ready to say he's done, get him out of here, ship him off to, wherever, PFL or wherever. I think it's more of, okay, so, he was preparing for his first fight at 170 because he wanted to try something different. He's really not a 170. Tony's not a big dude. Tony is the ideal body type and I would say personality and mindset to make 155. He's perfect at 155. Also, top 8 to ever do it at 155 who never won a title. I'd say top 3 to never win a title at 155. Like Tony in his prime, when he was walking this earth and didn't fuck up his knee and was supposed to fight Khabib, there's argument he was the best lightweight on the fucking planet. So we have to take it easy going, he's a shell of himself. Everybody gets older. The problem with Tony and getting older is his style isn't a style of an older man. It's a style where you need to be explosive and creative and have that longevity and that kind of bouncy spring in your step. And that's the first thing to go, especially in the lighter divisions. That's why you'll see a lot more older guys have success at light heavyweight and heavyweight because the power is the last thing to leave. So for Tony, when I look at his fight, and I've watched it several times now, especially at 170 against Nate Diaz, he was undersized. So even though he landed some good shots, at 170, it's kind of like the Conor thing. If you remember the first fight when Conor fought Nate Diaz, Conor landed some shot that will put sure as fuck any 145er down on the planet and any 155er. Nate's a bigger guy than Conor, so they're going to be able to absorb more of those punches. And it wears you out landing those punches, and those guys keep coming forward. So for Tony too, he landed a lot of punches, but being the lighter guy didn't have the same impact that did at 55. Then also one of his number one tools, especially against Nate Diaz, and this is I'm just piggybacking off what Chael pointed out, which is a great example. One of Tony's number one weapons, the way he was going to beat Nate Diaz, and I'm not saying anything that any fighter that's ever fought Nate Diaz doesn't know this, but they have an issue with checking leg kicks. It's really not their thing. They don't work on it. They do what they do, and they're very good at it. But the leg kick is an area where you can expose one of the Diaz brothers. So Tony, if you remember, throws a kick early on the first round, and his shin's bleeding, gets fucked up, and he actually injured that leg, so he couldn't throw that kick anymore. So if you're the smaller guy and you want to stay on the outside and be creative, but also use that kick to just chop Nate down, keep him from coming forward, and hopefully, as the fight goes on, wear his ass out and take away that leg completely so he can't, use it to spring forward with the jab and walk forward. Well, when that weapon's gone, especially the smaller guy, you're kind of fucked, man. So I can see how DC can go, he's a shell of himself. If you look back at the prime Tony, of course, dude, he's older. And he could have worded it better where it wasn't so mean, a shell of himself. Yeah. Jesus Christ, dude. He could have said, with Tony's style, he just needs to go back to the drawing board and do what works for him because Nate's adjusted for his age. Glover Teixeira adjusted for his age. DC even adjusted to his age. So as you get older, you got to adapt your style and use the tools that you have to win these fights. So the fight's in your favor, even though you're older. Well, for Tony, with his footwork and his crazy movement, explosiveness, and his unconventional style, that's not going to fare well when you get older. It's going to be tough. So I think Tony just needs to figure it out, right? And he went for the first time with a real camp. I'm not saying he didn't have a real camp before, because, again, you're talking about top 3 to never win a title at lightweight of all time. Hands down. I'd love to hear the argument. So Tony is a fucking savage. He still has all that knowledge and all that experience in the UFC. He just has to adjust. It's going to take some time. Now, to make those adjustments against Nate Diaz in a main event for 5 rounds is tough, man, to do it on the fly, especially against a veteran Nate Diaz who has adapted a style at his age that works for him. We know what Nate was going to do. We didn't know what Tony was going to do. So for Tony, a shell of himself is so cutthroat. And in fighting, you do got to be cutthroat. But I think Tony can definitely compete at 155. With the top 5 guys, it's going to be tough. I think those days are probably done. But can he compete, 6 through 20? Absolutely. Now that he's with a camp, he's at, he's with Jackson's and he's kind of getting familiar with that. And now he knows, all right, I'm older, so the same stuff I've been doing, the spinning back elbows, the kicks, all that shit, maybe we're not going to throw that as much, but he has a style that he could implement to win fights at 155. I guarantee you he can do that. So, I think for him, it's just about, it's an ego check. It's a humbling thing going, all right, I can't do some of the stuff I used to do anymore. Having a different mindset. But you got to understand, out of all the guys in the UFC roster, there's nobody who would literally die inside that octagon like Tony Ferguson. And he trains that way. He trains like you've never seen, man. I've trained with the guy for years. Dude, at Rain, you've never seen anything like it, man. His tenacity, his cardio is frightening. To be honest, it's concerning. You're like, dude, what are you doing? We would do practice, right? It'd be wrestling practice or sparring. He would go all the rounds, then some, all comers. It could be a new guy who just walked in. Tony would go against the elite guys in our gym. He would go 10 rounds with them, and then we're all exhausted. And Tony's putting in more work than we are, and Tony's going with more guys. He's doing 15, 20 rounds. And I'm changing. I'm showered up. I come back out. He's not only is he done sparring, but now he's wrestling. He goes another hour of wrestling. A guy who's never been never. USADA's always hitting him up. Never failed a test. I bet he barely takes a fucking protein powder. So for those people that when you see these freaks with their cardio and their mindset, and you can't comprehend, you go, oh, steroids. You can't comprehend that somebody is that mentally savage, that somebody is willing to go to the edge of the fucking earth to win a fight. I'm telling you, I don't know a guy in the UFC who's willing to touch the death's doorstep than Tony Ferguson. All he has to do is adjust his fighting style and make it age appropriate, like Nate Diaz has done, and go back to a 55, stick with Jackson's camp, and he's going to rip off some wins, man. If the UFC would just play some ball with Tony Ferguson, which they should, right? Because he saved the fucking card, right? He saved the card. So you owe it to him. Look, give him at 55. Give him a fight that's winnable for him, and let him adjust to this new fighting style. Tony is going to have a resurgence. I would bet my last dollar on it. To write him off and go, he's a shell of himself. Come on, it's a little much, man. And now, I'm sure time will tell that, Daniel Cormier being on the side of caution is always the best way to go with fighters. When it comes to Tony Ferguson, there's everybody in the UFC, if anybody who's ever fought in the UFC, anybody who's ever risked their ego, their status, their whatever it is in the UFC, all of them are one percenters. I'm telling you, I've seen it firsthand. Tony Ferguson, take anybody who's ever fought in the UFC, he's the 0.01 percenter. There's nobody like Tony Ferguson with his mentality and his work ethic. And and that's the biggest advantage that Tony has. So if he can channel that into the right direction that works for him at his age, I'm telling you, man, he's not a guy to write off. He's just not. He's not. It's not fair to do it to him. He shouldn't be at 170. He should be at 55. He shouldn't be fighting the top 4 guys every fight in, fight out. He should be fighting appropriate opponents and fighting at his appropriate age and his style. And I'm telling you, I bet he rips off fucking 5 wins in a row, and then you're giving him a top guy. And everyone's going to be cheering for him, you know? The UFC just has to play ball with him a little bit. And they should. They absolutely should. But I'm fucking telling you, man, you don't know a more savage professional athlete than Tony Ferguson. They talk about the Kobe mentality. It's all fine and dandy, but he's playing fucking basketball, right? He's shooting basketball. There's no consequences of shooting basketball. There's the Kobe mentality, which we allude that to everything. Dude, that's a Kobe mentality. Usman has a Kobe mentality. I get all that. The Tony Ferguson mentality, nobody else can do. I'm fucking telling you, man. Maybe there's some special forces guys in Delta or Navy SEALs with that mentality. There's no other professional athlete active that has Tony Ferguson's mentality. All he has to do is adjust to his athleticism and his age, and you got a fucking special person on your hands. He already has a built-in fan base. He already has that don't give a fuck Nate Diaz fan base, right? People love Tony Ferguson. The Nate Diaz was like, dude, I'm glad I'm fighting one of the real ones. We're all aware of what Tony Ferguson represents. All you got to do is, and again, I have more of a connection to it because I've seen him not in front of the cameras, not in front of the octagon. I've seen him training and the amount of training he puts in. Talk to Cheeto about it. He's like, dude, that guy, we'll get done training, he'll run 10 miles. I'm telling you, you've never seen anything like it. So all he has to do is adjust his fighting style that's age appropriate and figure out what works for him. And remember, Tony can wrestle his ass off. He just decides not to do it. But at his age, he should probably do a little more to win some rounds. You know, you don't have to be that, killer finisher now. You can use your wrestling and then you use your jiu-jitsu. Tony on top, Tony takes you down and every fighter wants to get to their feet. I'm looking at 155 right now. Maybe Charles Oliveira. Outside that, there ain't a guy better, more dangerous in transition than Tony Ferguson in the UFC at any age. So there's some, if I'm his coach, I'm looking at this fucking bullet points and go, all right, well, his cardio is second to fucking none. His mentality we've never seen. His jiu-jitsu, his ability to finish it during transition, there's nobody like it. The spinning elbows, the weird shit, all right, probably get rid of that. You can do a little bit of it if you're up on the rounds, but let's not focus on that anymore. But again, that's what makes Tony special. So if his coaching, and Jackson's the best at this, we just got to channel him in the right direction. And I would bet I'm telling you, Tony's not a guy you want to bet against. And DC's actually doing Tony a favor here. You're putting a fire under a guy that does not need motivation. And now everybody's writing him off. I know I keep saying it. I feel sorry whoever has to fight Tony Ferguson next. You're going to have a real fucking problem on your hands. If he can channel the appropriate game plan for his age. I'm telling you, he's going to rip off 5 fucking wins. I would bet my fucking last dollar if the UFC is willing to play ball with him at 55. They give him the appropriate matchup next. I would bet my fucking house on Tony Ferguson. That's what you're dealing with. Shout out to Tony
Shout out
Ferguson.
to Tony Ferguson.
Tony, you never seen anything like it, man.
I heard his training was pretty crazy, like ninja training.
Dude, I'm telling you, dude, ask Eddie Bravo about it when he was putting his camps together. You'd be like, there was no rhyme or reason to it. That's what made him so special. Nobody trained like Tony. Not only would they not train as hard and as long as he did, but nobody trained the way he did. Yeah. Never. And so if you can take that, and that worked for him back in the day, but now you put him in Jacksons who have it dialed down, man. We can list all the champions of the Jacksons. They have it dialed down. If you can take that and funnel it into the right direction, I'm telling you, Kobe mentality. Cool, and rest in peace. I'm a huge fan of Kobe Bryant. That Kobe thing ain't shit compared to the Tony Ferguson mentality. You've never seen somebody like Tony Ferguson in any sport. I don't know Delta Force guys or Navy SEAL guys. I assume there's one of those outliers like Tony. Tony's one of those guys. It's frightening. It's frightening. Literally frightening.
Literally frightening.
I'm telling you, dude, it's alarming at a professional level to see him be an outlier like this. I've seen it firsthand. And I won't mention the names in that room, but those guys that we trained with, and we were at the time we were bigger names than Tony, we would look at Tony like, Jesus Christ, man, shut it down. Refuse to. And he would get done with that, and then I found out he's running 10 miles at midnight.
Insane.
You've never seen anything like it. Whatever Cam Haynes does, Tony could do. Besides shoot the bow and arrow like him. But when he does those Death Valley run, I bet you I could call Tony up right now. I'm like, hey, dude, there's this Death Valley race. It's going to be 130 degrees. You want to run it? He'd be like, yeah, I'm in. And easy finish it. Probably do well. Probably beat some of the people that all they do is specialize in it. His mentality, he's just built different, dude. He's not built like these other guys.
Oh, you mentioned bow and arrow, so just reminded me of this. This is that's Alex Bahia, Izzy's next opponent, and Joe Rogan reposted this.
Yeah,
it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I like Din Thomas. Shout out to Din Thomas. He was the most impressive part is he did in the Rock shoes. The most impressive part is the Rock shoes didn't crumble.
Yeah. Speaking of the Rock shoes, Terrence McKinney is calling out the Rock about it.
I love Terrence McKinney too. He's a great follow.
Yeah.
Fighters asked to wear the Rock shoes. So Terrence McKinney put, "Come on, man," with an emoji of covering the face. Like, come on, dude. Says Bloody Elbow. Shout out to Bloody Elbow. At Bloody Elbow put, "Fighters asked to wear the Rock shoes, but won't get paid for the new UFC sponsorship."
And then this is what Terrence says.
And then Terrence says, "Hey, brother, if you're a fan of what we do, if you're a fan of what we do, make the deal favorable for the ones modeling your shoe. I guess it's not your fault or your business doing it to us, but show us the love you think you are. Get in our corner, support us." Hey, Rock, if you just took a fraction of what you made on Jumanji 19 or the fuck you're shooting next and sent it to the fighters, they'd be stoked, dude.
Yeah.
Can you just imagine, like, if I'm The Rock and I have my shoe, let's say there was a Thick Boy shoe, right? And I'm sure Rock's way busier than I am, but even at the level that I'm at, I don't know a lot of things going on with my business until it becomes an issue. And so I'm sure Rock didn't know. Someone was like, yeah. They probably came and was, hey, UFC fighters can wear your shoes. And Rock's like, oh, sick, man. But they don't know the game. And they should have learned from Reebok. Reebok's like, oh, we're going to sponsor the UFC. It's going to be sick, man. All the guys going to be stoked about gear. We're not stoked. It ruined your brand. You're fucked. Have you heard of Reebok since? It's the worst business choice they've ever made in their lives. Name the last time you saw somebody wearing Reeboks. Name the last time you saw somebody wearing a Reebok fight kit. It literally ruined their reputation. Not their fault. It has nothing to do with them. They just don't know the game. So with The Rock, dude, you got your tequila that's popping. But again, I'm the alley cat version of The Rock, right? I'm the poor man's version of The Rock. I got my whiskey. I got my merch. I'm touring. He's doing all his shit. So for The Rock, dude, everything's going well. I'm telling you, dude, you force, and it's not your fault. You know what the fuck, how the business works. But you force these fighters to wear those. Can we bring him up? I'm a sneakerhead. You force these fighters to wear your bullshit shoes and you're not going to pay them. I would love to hear the explanation where you think that's okay.
I think this one.
I'm not even mad at those.
But usually, every Under Armour shoe I saw was just like I never.
Never. No, you look like a fucking tool. They might as well be Skechers. But those are kind of litty, especially the red ones with the cement bottoms. Okay,
not too bad.
Now, and when The Rock first came out with workout shoes, I tried getting them. I tried giving them money. They were legit. Have you ever seen The Rock's workout shoes, Mark? Legit. They sold out like this. You couldn't get them. I tried getting them, couldn't get them. Then I went on StockX, hit up my boys at Suplex. They're like $500. And for The Rock, with his business, come on, Bubba. You don't need the money, whatever the UFC's paying your business partners for them to wear these shoes. You don't need that money. Like, those are fucking dope, son. I'm gonna buy those.
They're actually looking better.
Aren't those dope?
I just don't like that freaking.
That's his logo, baby.
I know, but I just don't like
He's a bull, man.
I know.
Rock the bull. You never heard Rocky Bull? It doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
But they're not bad at all. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but if someone's just like, hey, Rock, let me talk to you real quick. Hey, those shoes, man, they're dope, right? I'm telling you, man, the bad press you're going to get by whoever made the deal to force the fighters to wear the shoes and not get paid, it's not worth it, man. We got to give these fighters some money. And I feel like once Rock hears this, because remember, Rock was an athlete at the University of Miami, and then also nobody takes more advantage than their athletes in WWE. So he knows the game, and he has to have some sympathy towards it. Now, if you could give back to the WWE guys, I'm sure he would, right? But that's not his business. But now his business is involved with the UFC. You don't want to be part of this, dude. You don't want to be part of this slave-driven business. You know damn well you could help these guys out. Come on, dude. I'd be willing to bet in the next 2 weeks we get fighters are getting compensated for wearing The Rock shoes. They're I don't know, $1,000, something like that. I would bet my last dollar that comes out. I bet Rock wasn't aware of it.
Probably not. He has so much stuff going on. Casey just sent me this.
But also the UFC's like the UFC's also like, hey, look, kids, you get free shoes. Look what we did. We did a deal where we get paid and you market it and you get free shoes. It's like, hey, what the fuck? In what world would we want to do that deal? But again, this is the problem with UFC. None of this would ever fucking fly in any other league. MLB, NFL, NBA, they sign one of those deals, and let's take the NBA, which is the biggest kind of sneaker deal there is, right? Let's say the NBA made a deal with just Nike, so everyone was forced to wear Nike on that floor. They getting paid because you got to go through the NBA Basketball Players Association, who represents the players, who control the league, the union, yeah. If MLB, same thing. MLB split it 50-50, I think. Most are 50-50. The UFC's just doubling down and fucking the fighters over in 2022. And now there's the internet. And then there's assholes like me where you call me a fucking dummy. Well, now I got to light you up a little bit, you know? So you're going to force fighters to wear shoes and not pay them. In what world are you living in where we're going to think this is okay? If I'm the fighter, don't wear them. Why don't you guys, this is for all fighters out there, why don't you grow a fucking sack? And when they give you those fucking UFC Rock shoes, if they don't come to some sort of agreement where you get paid, set them on fire and put on your fucking Instagram. Post a picture you wearing some dope ass other sneakers that aren't Under Armour. Let Under Armour know. And just so you guys are aware, Under Armour is making so much money off The Rock and Steph Curry. This is what you're dealing with. You guys are getting zero. They just signed Steph Curry to a $1 billion deal. They have the money to pay you guys, but you have nobody vouching for you, speaking up for you. So all you're doing is getting taken advantage of because you guys are under one agreement. They have to deal with 90 different fucking managers and nobody can get together. It's like wrangling cats. So when you guys are unorganized, you're dealing with somebody who's very organized in the UFC. You're unorganized. You're getting taken advantage of. So if you want to fight back and get paid for once in your fucking life, if your name's not Conor McGregor or Brock Lesnar or Ronda Rousey, when they give you those shoes, all you guys should be posting on social media and fucking send them on fire and put hashtag pay the UFC fighters. There's an idea. But you know what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen? Again, I hope The Rock realizes this is the worst press he's ever got, besides in wanting to come on Joe Rogan's show and then literally a minute later retracting that statement because he has no backbone. But that was bad press. That's whatever. We forgot about that. I didn't. But this is the second worst press you've ever got, is forcing fighters to wear your shoes, which I actually don't mind them. But what's going to happen, even if the UFC doesn't come to an agreement and pay the fighters, you know what's going to happen? Nothing. You guys are going to take it. And this is just another reason why you need to have a union. There's another reason that you give the UFC an inch, they're taking a fucking mouth. They're just taking advantage of you guys. In what other league? I would love an example. Name another league where they would force you to wear something where they get compensated and you get fucking nothing. It's insane. And the UFC doesn't even mention it. Yeah, they're going to do whatever the fuck we tell them, man. It's all good. How does The Rock's people, his representatives, when they're negotiating with the UFC, go, wait, hold on. They're just going to wear them? And Daniel goes, yeah, they have to. We force them to. Well, and we don't have to pay them? Not at all. Just pay us, man. Oh, cool. We'll do that. How much you guys going to take, dude, before you finally fight back? And now, because of social media, you can't actually do something. But y'all ain't going to do shit. You can do nothing. Wear those fucking shoes. Don't get compensated. That's how this goes. And then all the pussy managers are like, oh, we don't want to cause a stir, man, because he gives us a bad matchup. We're scared, or they're not going to give us a fight. We're in renegotiation for your third contract, man. We don't want to die on this hill. Everyone's just cogs in the machine. Y'all ain't going to do shit. That's how this goes. You're going to wear those fucking Rock shoes. You're not going to do shit. That's how it goes. Cool, man. And you complain about it. One or two guys in the undercard to complain about it. But guess what? You're wearing them. You're going to complain about it. You're wearing them.
All right.
Let me see this Nate one.
Yeah.
We're glad you're still in this main event, Nate. Thank you so much for your time. Total professional with this one.
These shoes fucking suck. Look at these shoes. They made me put this shit on.
Sponsors, you don't hear that. Guys, back
Fuck
to you.
these shoes.
I thought you were going to say it was good because they're the Rock shoes.
Hey, let's get a shoe guy. Bye, Megan.
Bye.
Hey, here's the thing, though. Right? Fuck these shoes. You wearing them.
You have to put it back on.
Hey, and then put it back on. Yeah. Fuck these shoes. You wearing them.
Yeah. Got to do it.
Yep.
All right, so this is interesting. Marlon Moraes just retired, and now he's back in the or not back in, but he's with PFL, who the owner.
That's
his
what
name is.
World Series. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, on announce I'm coming home where I started. I want to thank the legend Ray Sefo and PFL. Get ready for some firework. All right, well. Mm-hmm. All right. I mean, he did, became world champion, World Series. That's where he made his bones, so I get it. I assume it's like one or two fights.
Thick Boy News announced this already, but yeah, Calvin Kattar versus Arnold Allen in October.
Oh, I love me some Calvin Kattar, but if there's one person I told you guys he's my dark horse in the featherweight division, it's Arnold Allen. His father was a strong man. This dude is undefeated. I hate this fight for Calvin Kattar.
It's so tough, dude.
It's such a. I'm telling you, man. If you have to pick, I don't know if DraftKings has these odds, but if you can pick the odds for the next guy to kind of be the threat in the division, it's Arnold Allen. He's the next Brit to get a strap around his waist. Leon Edwards, got it done against Kamaru Usman. Arnold Allen is a guy who can definitely get it done. Mm-hmm. He is a fucking savage.
Yeah.
Great fight, though. Yeah. So that's October 29th. Am I in town then?
Main event. Let's see.
I've chosen Calgary on the 27th to 28th. That's a Saturday. 27th. I could fly back and make that. That might be worth it. We need some companions in October. We'll talk about it after this.
All right. And another matchup, which is tough for Bryce Mitchell, but Bryce Mitchell is versus undefeated Evlov.
Somebody's O has got to go.
Yeah.
God damn, that's a good fight. Mm-hmm. And that's in November?
Yep.
Man, those are two tasty fights.
Tasty, tough fights. And we'll just do one more.
Yeah.
Let's see. I just thought this picture was pretty cool. This is
my brother sent me this. Yeah, I love this fucking thing.
It's insane. So that's basically Jake Paul and Logan Paul as kids meeting Anderson Silva, and later on during the press conference, because now Anderson Silva is going to box Jake Paul. They took the same picture.
I think it's funny too. So Chael Sonnen was that like narrated the press conference, hosted the press conference.
That was so cool.
And I think Ariel Helwani was supposed to. And then he couldn't, probably because he's busy with all the stuff he's doing. So they called Chael to do it. I'm right up the street, no big deal. But then, so Chael flew down and did it. And I hit up Chael. I'm like, dude, you came to LA and didn't check in with me? How dare you? He's like, dude, I'm off to the next press conference, but he told me this. Hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn. He goes, Anderson Silva, Jake Paul, I figured, I don't know, if people are going to dig it. He's like, dude, this press conference they announced like 2 days before. He's like, there's people waiting outside. That thing was packed, man. He's like, there's definitely interest for it. He's like, thing was packed. So, and I talked to Jake too. Jake was calling me because he loves how I lit up Dana. We were just talking about it. Yeah. I was like, Bubba, I'm being friendly. This is the kid-friendly version. So, Jake Paul, Anderson Silva, man, that's the real deal there. And hopefully, if Jake were to knock out Anderson Silva, which is a big if, knock out Anderson, but if you're going to do that, you got to give the kid some fucking respect. I know he's not your prototypical boxer, but dude, Anderson Silva, he used to be Julio Chavez Jr., son. Anderson Silva asked Chael Sonnen why he never goes to his barbecue. Chael asked in Brazil, and says, no, here in Brazil, a lot of people try to kill you. Let me see that.
Yeah, this is so funny.
Yeah, Chael talked so much shit. Remember that?
Yeah.
To my house, to my barbecue. Okay, here's the thing. I didn't think it was a sincere offer. If I knew I was really invited, and then I didn't know if your wife forgave me, it was a whole thing. That's the real answer why I didn't come.
You need to come, please.
In Brazil.
No, here in Brazil, a lot of people try to kill you.
No. Do it here. In Brazil, they try and kill you. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he's the original shit talker, man. Then Colby said, hold my beer. I'm going to use that same fucking mastermind marketing.
Yeah. I think Chael helped a lot of people as far as how to do that thing.
Well, him and Colby are very close.
Yeah.
Very close. Came from the same area. Is that it?
That's pretty much
you
it.
got a slow week for fighting. You fight fans, you get kind of a weekend off. I mean, you got a Bellator. Whenever Benson Henderson fighting, you're never mad at it. You got Yoel Romero fighting Melvin Manhoef, which is interesting.
Be fun.
Yeah,
it's a fun Friday card as well.
Oh, it's on Friday?
Yeah.
I'll try and watch this. You'll be in Denver for my grandma's funeral.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
What can you do? Not this week, but next week, we are almost sold out. We're about to add some shows. Boston, shipping up to Boston, baby. Boston, Massachusetts, Laugh Boston, September 29th through October 1st. Then October 13th through the 15th, San Jose Improv. And then one of my favorite clubs ever, the owner of the club's one of my favorite humans on this earth, because his brother was the offense coordinator for Alabama, so all we do is talk football in the green room, which is rare these days. But you have Wise Guys, Salt Lake City, baby, Utah, Salt Lake City. And then Calgary, that show on the 27th is damn near sold out, so we're adding a show on the 28th on that Friday. That's at the Rooftop in Calgary, Canada, at the Rooftop, downtown Calgary. Come, get you some Calgary. But Boston, you're up next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Laugh Boston. Very few tickets are left. We might have to add some shows. Get your tickets right now. That bitch will sell out Thursday, Friday, Saturday. One show Thursday, two shows Friday, two shows Saturday. As of now, we'll see if we're going to add shows, but get your tickets right now. Boston, September 29th through October 1st. Tickets at thickboy.com. The tie-dye Thick Boy shirt you see me rocking. We have this in tie-dye tees, sweatshirts, and shorts. That's dropping pretty soon here too. So stay tuned, and that will be on thickboy.com the next week or so. All right, kids. Your boy has to go to Denver for a funeral, and then next week I'm in Boston. So hopefully you enjoyed the fights. We have some great food trucks coming up. Thanks for liking, subscribing. I launched my all-new comedy channel, YouTube. So all the Green Room Diary bits, which I write the minute I get into the green room, I write a bit for that city or whatever's going on. And then I do it on Thursday, punch it up for Friday, and then Saturday we record, and I blast out that Monday for you guys. And that's just a fun thing to do. So all that content with Gringo Poppy clips that have never been seen, stuff from Comedy Central, Showtime, Green Room Diaries on the road, all that's at Brendan Schaub YouTube. That's where all the comedy's gonna be flowing through. So get you some, man. Go like, subscribe, please. And every 1,000 subscribers, we're picking one lucky fan, and I will send you a signed Funko Pop action figure, I guess we'll call it. I was about to say doll, but it sounded gay. Action figure, Brendan Schaub, Thick Boy, Funko action figure. We only have 30 of them, so I'll sign it, ship it out to you guys. I think we just got over 1,000. We're at like 1,200 on that new comedy YouTube page, which we just launched. So go get you some right now. The 1,000, we're going to pick someone randomly, and we will send you the Funko action figure signed and all that stuff. All right. Anything you need, whiskey, Tiger Thick whiskey, available at thickboy.com, all that stuff. Get you some. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing, watching. I love you guys. Stay safe. Till next time, I'm out.